KentOnline News.
News you can trust.
This is the KentOnline Podcast. Nicola Everett.
Hello, hope you're okay on Wednesday, May the 27th. Thanks ever so much for downloading today's podcast. Coming up, water supply issues continue in Kent during the heatwave.
So going to the water station last night took me 45 minutes to drive over there. I only live over the other side of the bridge over the Thanet way. And that was normally a 4-minute journey, turned into 45 minutes to get there.
A Kent mum fears she may have to give up her job to get her disabled son to school.
It's a lot of stress for the parents and a lot of stress for the children as well, who are understandably really upset by not knowing what arrangements they're going to have next year.
And there's a warning about fake fidget toys in Kent.
The counterfeits that are coming in are often being sold at 20 or 30% above what the regular price of a proper NeeDoh should be, because they're making as much money as they can.
But first today, as the heatwave continues across the county, the KentOnline Podcast has been told how 6 people were arrested and nearly 40 made to move on after antisocial behaviour broke out on the coast over the bank holiday weekend. Police were given special powers to deal with trouble in Broadstairs, Margate and Ramsgate. What's known as dispersal orders were put in place across the towns between Friday and Sunday after reports of underage street drinking and criminal damage.
There's been a dispersal order put in place on the beach now. There's more of us coming down here. Anyone acting in an antisocial manner in a big group of people will be dispersed at the beach. I know, what I'm saying is move away from this incident location to save the
More officers were also out on patrol as thousands flocked to sites, including Viking Bay. One teenager was arrested for assaulting an emergency worker and for possession of cannabis. Another was detained for being drunk and disorderly, while a third was held for breaching a dispersal order. There was also an arrest for criminal damage and assault. And a number of people were held following reports of a disturbance at McDonald's in Margate High Street. Alongside all of that, we're told music speakers, more than 50 nitrous oxide canisters and crates of beer and spirits were seized.
Who's all this booze?
That's fine.
Right, it's a PSVR, you should be drinking on the beach, okay?
Police have told us they had a plan in place to tackle any possible issues head on and insist the vast majority of visitors were respectful and enjoyed the area. They go on to say they're committed to tackling antisocial behaviour across the county. We can see footage from those disturbances at the weekend within the story on the Thanet pages of KentOnline. Perhaps you were there, or maybe your business was impacted. You can leave a message or get in touch with us via our socials. You can also email news@thekmgroup.co.uk.
KentOnline News.
A man who was caught on camera attacking his partner at her home in Ashford has avoided being sent to prison. Footage from CCTV installed at the property showed Spencer Dean repeatedly punching, kicking and spitting at his victim during months of abuse. The 34-year-old has been ordered to do 180 hours of unpaid work and is banned from contacting his victim or going near her home for 2 years. 2 teenagers who killed a man on a Sheppey beach are going to spend more time locked up. The boy and girl, who are 16, were convicted along with a 15-year-old boy of manslaughter following the death of Alexander Cashford in Laysdown last August. A judge sentenced the older teens to 7 years and ordered they serve half. That was a mistake and it will be 2/3 of the term. A Sudanese man has pleaded guilty to endangering others after 4 people drowned while trying to cross the channel. Al-Noor Mohammed Ali admitted piloting a boat that arrived in the UK last month. 2 men and 2 women died. The 27-year-old is due to be sentenced in June. Almost 1,000 people, meantime, have crossed the Channel to Kent in small boats during the recent spell of hot weather. 77 made the journey on Bank Holiday Monday, after 921 arrived in 13 vessels between Friday and Sunday. Now, disruption to water supplies is continuing today for residents in various parts of Kent. South East Water have apologised to customers in Whitstable, Herne Bay and around Maidstone. They're blaming high demand during all of this hot weather and are urging all of us to only use water for essential purposes like drinking, washing and cooking. One of those without water right now is Nick Baldwin, who lives in Herne Bay. He's been telling us what's happened over the past 24 hours or so.
Lost water in the house yesterday afternoon. Found it out as we were out at the time. Got a message from South East Water saying that there's an issue with shortages on the water and that it's most likely going to be running out and that they'll keep us updated. We're on the priority register as I've got a 5-month-old baby as well. And so complications of this, as it did run out probably about 5 o'clock yesterday. Obviously sanitation of bottles, flushing the toilets, washing hands, making sure that she's got enough milk bottles prepared and sorted and everything. So going to the water station last night took me 45 minutes to drive over there. I only live over the other side of the bridge over the Thanet way. And that was normally a 4-minute journey, turned into 45 minutes to get there. They've got quite a few staff members and a few lorries there loading up everyone with water. I then left first thing this morning and it took just over an hour to get over to the water station. And just drive through, they ask where you'd like the water, open up the boot and they load you up and send you off. South East Water's response, I think, has been quite good, as we found out from them that the water would be running low. So we found out before that it actually ran out in the house, that it was going to be running out. By the time that we did run out of water, the water station was already set up over at Sainsbury's, apart from the traffic issues and everything, because it is such a large area which is out of water. I think the way they have done it so quickly with setting up the water station was quite good. I think the only way to really improve it would be for them to set up another water station somewhere else, because of obviously of such a massive area that is out of water. It's causing such bad issues, including blocking off basically the bus route going through there and the driving test centre that's along there.
KentOnline reports.
A Kent mum says she may have to give up her job to get her disabled son to school after his transport provision was changed. 18-year-old Thomas Headley used to be able to get a free minibus to his special needs school in Tunbridge. Now his parents have been offered £4,000 a year to arrange an alternative. Mum Caroline says it's a real concern.
There's a number of issues with what they're proposing, and for this reason it's really upset pretty much all of the parents. I don't think any of the parents that I've spoken to are actually in favour of the changes, because it just means that there's a massive load of stress, extra stress on parents who are already overloaded with dealing with children with additional needs, and so it's a lot of stress for the parents and a lot of stress for the children as well, who are understandably really upset by not knowing what arrangements they're going to have next year. My son Thomas loves his taxi, he loves his transport, and he really doesn't want this to change. He would be not able to get public transport on his own, so that's not a possibility at all, and not for pretty much any of the children, I think, that are in Thomas's current minibus transport. So either we would have to pay someone to go with him, or we have to find a taxi. Now, finding a taxi to take him and pick him up would, I can't get a quote at the moment, but even if you thought that normally a taxi to Tunbridge Station from our house is £15, it's twice as far as that, and it takes twice as long, and so that would be probably more like about £20-25 for a journey, and then coming back again, the same again. So you're looking at the minimum £40 to £50 a day times 5 days. You know, it's £250 a week, and then however many weeks they're at school, so 35 weeks or whatever, that's a lot more than £4,000, isn't it? So, not to mention the fact that we then have to spend all of our time arranging it, arranging that taxi. He would be really unhappy because he's on his own in a taxi, and he would be very distracting for the taxi driver. So it would be, very... I'd say it would be unsafe for him to be in that situation without an adult that he currently has as a helper on board the minibus. So, ideally you would need to have the taxi driver and an assistant on board the taxi with him, and you times that by the number of kids that are going to have that kind of transport, and it makes absolutely no financial sense to take it outside and make the parents do it themselves. So, the KCC have always offered this as an alternative to them arranging the taxi service. So we always had the option to take that transport budget and do it ourselves, but I don't think anyone ever did it. So, there was a reason that they never took it up before, which was that it doesn't work for anyone, and I can't understand how it can be more economical or beneficial for KCC. The number of extra cars that are going to be at school at pickup time if they take away this taxi service will have a very detrimental effect on the surroundings of the school. There's already a massive queue up around Longmead with parents and taxis picking up children. If then there's that many additional taxis going in there, that's going to cause a whole load of backup in that small area in that community. Basically, I can't imagine that the people that live there would be very pleased with that additional amount of road traffic.
Well, Kent County Council say there's no automatic right to free public transport for over 16s. However, they say support for learners with SEND remains a priority. A 21-year-old man's in a serious condition in hospital after the e-scooter he was riding in Dartford was involved in a crash with a fire engine. It happened on Princes Road at the junction with Darenth Road late last night. Crash investigators want to hear from anyone with dashcam footage. The family of a man being held in prison in Dubai claim he's been tortured while in custody. Ryan Pepper from Kennington moved to the UAE a year ago and was detained in November after returning from a trip to New York. The 27-year-old says he hasn't done anything wrong. The Foreign Office say they're in contact with the family. A Gravesham Council worker with agoraphobia who was denied the option to work from home despite her colleagues being able to has successfully sued her former employer. Maria Dudding was sacked on ill health capability grounds in 2024. A tribunal found the authority failed to make reasonable adjustments despite medical reports confirming she suffered from the condition, which made her anxious to leave home. Another hearing will take place to determine the level of compensation.
KentOnline reports.
Dartford Council has lost its only Green Party member. Laura Eadie, who represents the Newtown ward, has defected to become an independent. She's put the decision down to certain ideological differences, saying local politics should be about residents and community, not party politics. Jobs could be lost at a hospice in Kent after bosses decided to withdraw their support services for children. It means 10 staff who work at the hospice in the Weald in Pembury are at risk of being made redundant. We're told fundraising hasn't kept up with rising costs and a consultation period with workers is underway. Now, it's been confirmed repairs to the Sheppey Crossing will take at least 3 months to complete. A faulty bridge joint led to a closure which caused long delays last Friday. One lane has since reopened, but National Highways say replacement parts need to be specially designed and manufactured due to the complexity of the structure. Next on the KentOnline podcast, and we've been hearing how a new community learning centre in Folkestone will help people gain vital skills for new careers. Specially designed classrooms have opened as part of the new library building in the town centre. We've been chatting to Beverly Fordham, who's Kent County Council's Cabinet Member for Education and Skills.
It's an absolutely excellent opportunity that we've had here, is to be part of this new community hub, which really is like a learning hub. So CLS is our Community Learning and Skills, which I think previously would have been mainly known as adult education. We've got a lot of excellent courses here to help the residents to come in, get extra training, to skill up. Let me go through what we've got. We've got English and Maths functional skills. So that will be if you need to actually get up your GCSEs or if you need extra help. We've got everyday English and Maths, ASOL, employment essentials, digital functional skills. So this is exactly the place to come if you need that extra help and need that extra skill training.
Because obviously Folkestone, it is a beautiful seaside town. There are pockets of real deprivation and need in this coastal community. Do you hope that this library will help further with the regeneration work we've seen here in the town?
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why we wanted to make sure that the hub was actually within the high street or within the town, so it was easily accessible. So that's one of the reasons why we've got it here, and we decided to actually try and combine services within this hub.
Beverly was speaking there to Ollie Leader from the local Democracy Reporting Service. Activities will also be running at the site on Sandgate Road.
KentOnline News.
A Kent toy company is warning about a rise in fake NeeDoh fidget toys being sold across the UK. Big Jigs, which is based in Folkestone, is the official distributor of the products in the country. Bosses say we can identify the fakes by their strong chemical smell, greasy feel and unbranded packaging. Well, Operations Director Sam Ireland has been speaking to Lucy.
So NeeDoh as a brand is currently the best-selling thing in the toy industry. It's the biggest craze that we've had for many years, and off the back of that, there have been lots of counterfeits and fakes that have come into the country that are being sold without the correct testing, without the correct warnings, and are potentially unsafe for children. So, they're quite easy to spot, and kids themselves are spotting them and calling it out on TikTok. But there are a lot around.
And what are the potential dangers with these fake products that are ending up in people's homes?
The biggest thing is testing. So from a toy safety point of view, there are rigorous standards that all toys coming into the UK and EU have to adhere to. We spend hundreds of thousands of pounds a year on toy testing, and in the main, these fakes that come into the country haven't been toy tested. So, there could be chemicals inside them. The levels of chemicals inside could be outside of the scope of toy testing. There could be small parts. There could be, all manner of problems with them that aren't picked up by the rigorous standards that proper brands have to adhere to.
And for anyone who's either got these at home or is looking to buy one, what do they need to look out for to make sure it is legit?
So there's a number of things. The packaging on the fakes is generally poorly printed. It's quite fuzzy, and it's almost a direct copy of what we do ourselves. There are a couple of things that are generally missing. So on all toys that come into the UK and EU, there has to be an importer label. So there has to be contact details for somebody to get back to the person who imported it. Generally, all of these fakes don't have any of that information on. They don't have any warnings on. There's no contact details. There's no importer of record. So that's the first thing to look for. The second thing is that the product is normally packed inside a poly bag and then packed inside this fake packaging. And then when you look on the back of the box, there's no labelling as to who's imported it. So they're quite easy to spot. And the quality of the product, when you take the product out of the box, the fakes are generally quite sticky, and they've got a really sort of watery squidge to them, and just don't feel like a NeeDoh at all. The quality is really, really, really quite poor.
Is this potentially an issue where parents are maybe trying to cut back on costs? Times are tough and they see a cheap deal for a toy for their child, they might just kind of cut corners a little bit.
You think so, but incredibly, the fakes are often being sold for more than the real product. There's a real scarcity in the market at the moment. Production in the Far East can't keep pace with global demand. Demand in 2026 at the moment is about 6 or 8 times higher than it was in 2025, and so the whole supply chain is having problems scaling up to that. And so the counterfeits that are coming in are often being sold at 20 or 30% above what the regular price of a proper NeeDoh should be, because they're making as much money as they can.
You can see pictures of the toys by heading to the story on the business pages of Kent Online today. A Maidstone school is being taken to court following complaints about noise linked to its all-weather sports pitch. A hearing's been told it relates to the use of the £700,000 football pitch at Cornwallis Academy outside of school hours. The facility was installed in 2023. The case has been adjourned until October. A dad from Folkestone has won his appeal to keep an illuminated sign dedicated to his late son on a prominent town centre building. William Brown converted Queen's House into 32 flats in memory of William Brown Jr., who died after being hit by a van on Sandgate Esplanade in 2023. Council bosses initially refused permission for a large image of the 7-year-old on the front of the former office block, but approval has now been given. An investigation's underway after yellow lines on a road in Margate were painted black. Thanet Council repainted them the first time it happened on Park Place earlier this month, but it's been done again. They've asked anyone who sees the lines covered up to report it to them. And there'll be 2 Kent people on the new series of Love Island. Detective Lola Deal from Broadstairs and property broker Aidan Murphy have been announced in the lineup. Series 13 of the show starts next Monday.
KentOnline Sport.
Football and the bookies reckon Gillingham will be in the mix for promotion next season. Betfair have given them a 12-1 chance of winning the title, with odds of 7-2 that they'll go up to League One. Barnet, Rotherham United and Port Vale are also among the early favourites. Meantime, the Gills have unveiled their new kit for next season. The blue home shirt has a subtle wave design on it, and Mems are again the main sponsors. You can see pictures of it being worn by Armani Little, Bradley Dack and Nelson Kambeni at KentOnline. And staying with football, there's speculation London City Lionesses could sign two-time Ballon d'Or winner Alexia Putellas. The midfielder is leaving Barcelona after leading them to a fourth Champions League title last weekend. The Lionesses, who train near Aylesford, finished sixth in their debut season in the Women's Super League. And finally, Chatham Town's women are hoping to win more silverware in their final game of the season tonight. They're defending champions going into the final of the Women's Combined Counties Cup against AFC Portchester. The match is taking place in Surrey. Well, that's all from us for today. Thanks ever so much for listening. Don't forget you can follow us on socials. Plus, you can get details on the top stories direct to your email each morning via the briefing. To sign up, just head to kentonline.co.uk. And whilst you're on the website, you can also subscribe to Kent Online Premium. That gives you access to content with fewer ads and exclusive stories.
News you can trust.
This is the Kent Online Podcast.